going to finish up with two plays from last season as an illustration of why I think CJ can do the kind of stuff we're talking about here. I think he can be creative. He can be a bit of a threat with his legs, can do things off schedule, is more of an athlete than I think he gets credit for or sometimes shows within the structure of Ohio State's offense. But this is it ends up being inconsequential because the play gets negated for a holding penalty that I think is questionable on Nick Petit-Frere on the right side of the line against David Ojabo. But at this point against Michigan, it's in the fourth quarter. There's, I think, like 5 or 6 minutes left. It's a 2-score game, but there's still a chance. Like, Ohio State's not totally out of it just yet. And CJ makes a play here. He feels a little bit of pressure coming from his right. There's not really a place for him to go with the ball, so he gets out of it. And then he's looking for a place to throw as he normally does, but there's nowhere to throw, and there's all of that space in front of him. So what does he do? He tucks the ball and he attacks it in an aggressive way, makes a move on a defender in the open field, takes a hit, and falls into the end zone for what I think should be a touchdown. It's not because of the holding penalty, but there are times when CJ runs the ball where he doesn't look all that comfortable in the open field, and I think that's probably just from a lack of experience doing so. But he's a guy who uses legs quite a bit in high school. Obviously, we all know what the first kind of glimpse we got of him was in a Michigan State game in 2020 where he ran for that long touchdown run. Like, this is a guy who has an ability to do a little bit of this stuff. And this is sort of a last gasp, last ditch effort against Michigan, and maybe there's something to the idea of having to operate with that kind of urgency all the time, as opposed to when it gets to this point, or frankly where it's borderline too late. But that doesn't mean he doesn't have the ability to do stuff like this. So I wanted to show this just to show that he can do things like this. And then again, obviously this play didn't count because of the holding penalty, which I didn't quite agree with. And then this next play here from the Rose Bowl, same season last year. This was, I realizing that the Rose Bowl was not the most consequential of games given the way that the season went for Ohio State. This was a really big play in a game that Ohio State ended up winning, that I think it had to win just for program's sake. And I'm not sure if it happens without CJ doing this. I apologize for not having the all 22 view, just have the TV cut here that someone had posted on YouTube. But it's 3rd and 8. Ohio State is trying to convert here, trying to get back into this game. There's not much open. Like, you can throw that ball to Jackson Smith and Jigba, I suppose, in the flat, but I don't know what good that does you on 3rd and 8 when you need to convert. There's a seam there that develops, and CJ doesn't really think twice about it. He tucks the ball, he takes off, he runs, he knows where the marker is, he knows he's going to get hit. He knows that sliding here is not going to do him any good. He needs to get that first down marker. He needs to extend this drive. I believe Ohio State ended up scoring a touchdown on this drive and got itself back into the game. Like, this was probably as consequential as a first quarter play in what's partly an exhibition can be, but I just think like Ohio State needs much more of this from CJ Stroud. And it's good that, like we've seen in his past, that he's had a willingness to do it. Like, that's a really decisive, athletic, I think, to a certain extent, physical run to make sure that his team stays on the field and gets a first down, extends a drive, ultimately leading to points for Ohio State. So he can do things like this. Like, it's not none of the things that we were talking about or some of those earlier clips where maybe there were missed opportunities are stemming from a lack of ability. I think part of it is lack of comfort at times because he's just not asked to do that a whole lot within Ohio State's offense. But in this point in the season, you have to. And CJ said, down there in Atlanta, that he's going to do whatever it takes to win the game. And I have no doubt that moments like this are going to arise. And if he is willing and able, and I think he is able to do things like this to help Ohio State's offense, I have no doubt that they can move the ball against Georgia and score the way they need to score to attempt to win this game.